having problems sometimes hearing people that are on Zoom. So if you're out in the audience, just stand up, speak as loud as you can, introduce yourself, and tell us if you're a resident or not. I'd appreciate that. Thanks. So I call the meeting at 6:01. Adopt the agenda. Do we have any adjustments or corrections on the agenda? If none, I need a motion to accept.
So moved.
Agendas have been accepted. Approve the minutes of our regular meeting of March 17th. I didn't have anything, but anybody have any corrections or additions to it?
No.
If not, I need a motion to accept minutes of March 17th.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Highway report, okay, excess weight permits from Bazin Brothers Trucking Incorporated, Camp, Precast Concrete. Is it AmeriGas, Barrett Trucking, BART Energy, TMG Enterprise, Dead River Company, Cota Structural Wood Corporation, and Jamie Gregory Trucking and Excavating. Do I have a motion? Everybody understand the permits? Did you want to say anything, Kobe, on the permits? Okay. Go ahead.
Need a motion to approve the weight permits and authorize myself to sign and issue them.
Okay.
Do I have a motion? To accept.
So moved.
All in favor for the weight permits as read, and will, Morgan would sign off on those. All in
Aye.
favor? Any opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. So Steve, could you open the FY 2026 sand bids?
This is Bazin Brothers. $23.95 per yard. For a grand total of $35,925. That was for a quantity of 1,500 yards. Eastern Stain Gravel operated by P&L Trucking. And this one says, it's kind of, I get 1, 2, and 3 here. I just read it off. It says 7 to 1,000 yards of the 1-inch crushed gravel with $18 per yard. The balance of yardage up to a total of 1,500 yards would be a mix of granular screen sand and fine screen sand at $16 per yard. Delivery cost would be $6 per yard. They didn't really total. kind of how we broke it down, so you're gonna have to do the math again. Not seeing anything else.
Well, the prices were a little bit higher, it was like that, right?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, John. Those prices were what?
Prices-
Well, no, they get a delivery cost here of $6 per yard, so I don't know.
So you got it down on top of the yard.
Yeah, that on the yard.
Yeah.
Exactly.
$21 a yard. Has he done mixed gravel before for sand?
I asked him to mix it last year and it
And it
turned out a
worked
lot
well?
better for us, so.
And it works well?
Yeah.
This is Zaluzny. $29.75 per yard, for a grand total of $44,625 for the 1,500 yard quantity.
How much was that one per yard?
Per yard, $29.75.
That's what you have to look forward to when Palmer runs out.
They're down, right? Zaluzny,
Yeah, right, yeah.
the wage.
On the Eastman bid, it was the first price up to 700 yards, and then the second price for the remainder of,
Yeah, that was kind of confusing.
So it drops, volume discount?
well, it sounded like they were doing a different, size and mix.
I didn't tell him to mix it this year, so I don't know.
Well, the first bid was $18 a yard, and then you went on to the mixed one for $16 a yard.
That's for Eastman.
Eastman,
I don't know why you had the crushed gravel in there, the 1-inch crushed gravel.
I don't know.
It really not bidding on what we asked.
Right.
Hmm.
Well, granular screen and fine screen sand was $16 per yard. So I don't know why you threw
The
it.
$6.
$6 trucking fee, right?
so that's 21. What was the 18 for though? Just,
That was something with 1-inch crushed gravel, so I don't know why you threw that in
I
there.
don't know.
is that what you usually have gotten?
I didn't know, last year I got a 1/2 inch gravel and I mixed it myself, but, or,
Probably thinking you needed some. So-
Yeah, I don't know. good question, I guess, to ask.
Wait up to get the bid.
Well, it looks like Eastman's the lowest.
Lowest, but they're not bidding on it.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, you gave you two different items, so. It's more than, it's for, I guess.
So then that's, we'll have another bid. Sorry.
No, this is the first one I read, it was the one to check.
Can you repeat the first one again?
Yeah, $23.95 per yard.
That includes delivery.
Have you gotten sand and gravel from Bazin before?
No, the town of Athens does, and I've looked at the file and it's not a bad file. But I like the stuff that we get from Palmer, but.
So,
No, Palmer always trucks the sand, we all, lately he's been doing it for the price that he does it for, I mean. Really, it's cheaper to have him just bring it in than it is for us to do it, but we bring our own gravel in, but. It typically takes like one guy all summer long to bring the sand and gravel in, so.
so do you wanna look those over,
Mhm.
Colby and maybe John? And then let us know for our next meeting. Any other questions on the bids? Okay. Thank you, Steve. award paving bids. Are we ready to do that?
I have all of them here, if we want to reference any.
So those are the ones we reviewed last time, and Bazin was the lowest, but
And the question, you did ask a question, Morgan,
I do.
of Bazin, I believe it was.
Yes. I just made this quick spreadsheet this afternoon.
Oh,
So
nice.
or it should be larger. Essentially, I just took what they listed in their bids. Obviously, this first section is all of Bazin Brothers for the townwide paving, with the $295 being the total bid price. Same for Fuller Sand and Gravel at $302, and then Springfield Paving. So that was the townwide paving project. And then moving on to Route 121 East, I just did the same thing, listed them out here. And then I kind of took what we have for funds. So we have that V-Trans grant for the Route 121 East project, and that's at 200,000. Plus we have 120,000 in the budget for the upcoming year. Budget that we're currently working in, we also have 120. And then there is just over $58,000 in the reserve, giving us the 498. But then we have to pay the town match for that V-Trans grant. So that leaves us with a total of $458,000. Hypothetically, I took the lowest bidder just to see what the pricing would be. So for the townwide paving, that was Bazin Brothers at the $295. And then for the Route 121 East, that was also Bazin Brothers at $165. And that came in for a grand total of the $460. So we'd be in a deficit of just over $2,000. I also just, one last thing, because the Route 121 East project is funded through V-Trans, I sent all three of these bids to Megan and Mark, and they reviewed them and they said that they don't have any hesitations with awarding it to the lowest bidder. There was a question about the price per tons for Bazin Brothers. And I know I printed it here, just give me a second. So the question that I asked was on the townwide paving projects, location 1, the price per ton is $93. And on the Route 121 East project, the price is $93.95. I said both sections are the same width and depth, but it does vary in length. Could you just provide some clarification there? And the response was, it's because of the difference in tonnage between the two projects. So the higher the tonnage for the section, the lower the cost per ton. For those two sections, each section includes mobilization of the equipment, setting up the traffic control, etc., which is all included in the price per ton. I hope that answers that question.
Yeah.
So what says the board? Your recommendation for Bazin at the lowest price
That would be my recommendation. Yes,
with an overrun of
This makes sense.
2,000.
Colby?
They do good work. Yeah, well, that's far, so. I know, they should
Do it.
So just because these two projects are separate, I think it would be the most clear if we had two separate motions.
So,
But I do see there's a question.
Just a question about completion times. We did over this at the high school with funds and summer paving, and the difference when each company said they would complete the project was enormous, was really surprising. Did that come up at all?
In the invitation to bid that we sent out to all of the bidders, there was, language in there that says all work must be completed between May 15th and August 15th.
Bazin also is coming to pave a new bridge too. And they're gonna do that first thing off this year, so it should be pretty fast, I think.
Oh, the walk.
He said he wanted to get that project out of the way, so
Is that gonna be in May or August?
I guess it's gonna be, he's gonna do
Same
ours,
time.
we can do everything at the same time, would be my guess.
So we calling the first one the townwide paving?
Sure.
I'd make a motion to accept Basin's bid for the townwide paving project.
All in favor of paving by Bazin at the low price for the townwide paving? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passed. Need another motion for the additional roads to be paved in Grafton. Do I have a motion?
So this would be for the Route 121 East project.
Make a motion to award Basin Brothers as the lowest bidder for the 121 paving project.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion. All those in favor of the motion for Route 121 East for
Aye.
paving with Bazin at the low price? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, all in favor. Fisher Hill Road Culvert number 10 and number 13 projects.
Could we talk about Pettingill Bridge before that?
Sure.
Could we talk about that?
Mm-hmm. Okay. We know we had some repairs to be done, Buzz and I went out, last week with Toby and Dave, with two other folks from V-Trans. Looked it over and came up with some thoughts of what needs to be done. For the age of the bridge, it's 80 years old. They thought it was in really great construction. They don't make bridges like that anymore. In a good way, not a bad way. But it does need repairs on top of the bridge and probably some cleaning at the bottom of the bridge, and also the
Girders greased,
what do you call it?
girders greased.
Greasing the beams.
Greasing the beams, okay.
That's girder grease.
Sorry, just giving you my notes here. I think, John, you had some, thoughts about the bridge.
Well, I have a question about the town doing any of it. I think you got a right building, if you form it up and then somebody else does the pouring and the cement.
Well, we're gonna do the pouring.
Well, according to this, it says we're gonna hire a contractor. According to the write-up.
That's not what we talked about when we were out at the bridge.
Well, all I've heard from you, all I'm doing is one.
Oh, I don't know, with the way we discussed it with them is I was gonna form it and I was gonna pour it.
I myself don't think you should get involved in it because of the liability.
So we're just working the bridge down narrow,
So,
you know.
it was built by, well, people who do that type of work, and I think that we have an awful liability if we go and do that. And I don't know what this write-up is by mentioning that you would form it and somebody else would, form it.
Yeah, he didn't say that while we were out there, so.
Yeah, when we were talking to him, he was, his input was that patching it was feasible. And much more cost effective than replacing the bridge certainly. And he committed to write up some guidelines, to follow the plan to do it. I don't recall him talking about a contractor, while we were there. He may be referring to a contractor in the third sense, just who does the work. we could ask for clarification on it.
Yeah.
But I think if you're gonna go patch that hole, that you should, take the asphalt off the rest of the bridge, put a membrane down and pay for the thing, and then the bridge is gonna last.
Part of the problem with the bridge right now is the membrane, whoever put the membrane on the bridge last put it in the wrong spot. And they put it on top of some of the asphalt, and
Yeah, well,
that's part of the reason why it got messed up, but as of right now, his plan, he's definitely told us that. I mean, the bridge is gonna need more work than what we really are doing right now, but this is just a safety thing, just to hold it over. So we can make the plan as of now, I mean. I don't know. The whole, everything that we talked about, I mean, we can do. The only thing I don't understand him, what about was the greasing the beams. We can't be over the water
but you
for
can't,
that. I mean, that part definitely is out of
you
our,
can't wash them either. I don't know where they come up.
state washes them.
I know they do, but the towns, I washed one out the Townsend Road one day, and the guy from the state come along and said, you can't do that.
Yeah.
And I said, well, how come the state's doing it? And,
Yeah.
when you go to wash them, you're knocking paint off and everything. So that's a no-no.
Mhm.
But if you're gonna patch the bridge, you might as well do a complete job and make it right, then it'll last you the 10 or 15 years.
Oh, yeah.
I know it's gonna cost some money, but there's no sense just spending a little money and not doing it right.
We did talk about, cause I asked why aren't you gonna do the whole bridge? And he said, well, that would be what, did he say 75,000?
For the deck, just the decking,
Yeah,
yeah, to peel up the deck, just the asphalt and redo a membrane on
Yeah.
top of it, probably about $70,000. And fix the parts that, I think it's the only spot on it really that end. I don't know, I mean, I can't know, I just know from looking underneath the bridge, what I can see, but, who knows if, once they tear it up, what happens?
so what if you do that triangle that they wanted, not triangle, I'm sorry.
The square.
Rectangle, yeah,
Cause we're talking 10 days.
but what if you start in and there's more damage on the other
Then
end?
you're opening a can of worms.
You gotta keep going.
Yeah, you're
I know,
gonna,
you
you
gotta
can't
do
stop, once you start, you don't stop till you get to the end of it, so. I mean, that part John is right about, I mean. If I start, who knows, I could try to chisel away at it, and it can only go another foot and be done, or I could go halfway across the bridge, so. I mean, it depends on what's showing to be like, as right now, but.
You're not seeing anything else under that.
You can't see till you start knocking it
Yeah.
apart, it's the problem, I mean, you were under the bridge, you saw him peel it apart with his fingers, the concrete. I mean, you don't know until you do it.
Should we get a couple of bridge contractors to look at it and give us a price on doing the work?
I don't think it hurt,
I think it's a great.
I don't think it hurt, we got time,
Yeah.
it's not like thing's gonna fall into pieces right now, so.
So were you gonna put a plate over that?
I'm gonna get Jersey barriers and put around it, he recommended put Jersey barriers around it, I talked to him again. He said it would, still, it's just because they'll be driving onto it, he's worried that
Creating
people
pressure.
pop their cars or. Their tires or bend their rims or something, so.
So if you put that barrier there, what about the log trucks and the other big trailers that
They
come
still,
through?
they still should be able
They
to,
can still come through?
Yeah.
Okay.
they just won't be able to turn from Middletown onto the bridge, which you can't really do anyway, I mean, we can't make it with our dump trucks with trailer. So, as long as they're going straight down 121, it shouldn't be an issue.
Okay.
But I agree, it's probably a good idea to have some, bridge companies give an assessment. If we're gonna do that, I'd probably ask them about he had compared it to undercoating a car.
Mhm.
And that, it will make the girders that are there last longer, right? But she did say the girders there, you probably couldn't even buy.
Right.
They're like a yard high, and they are in relatively decent shape, but the paint's flecting and there is some rust. But he said overall, they're very solid, so it's the deck that is the only issue.
Years ago, there was a big push on putting membranes on all the bridges that
Yeah.
came over, and now they've kind of got away.
Yeah, they don't do that anymore.
Yeah, you did note that, and you.
Where the word part-
Membrane about an inch under the asphalt.
Yeah, that's where the membrane holds the salt in and the Regular asphalt, sometimes you let it run through it, but the membrane kind of
Mhm.
holds that, but we don't also, I try not to put salt in the bridge as at all.
The other thing in addition to that is the pylons along the side. You know, the concrete's actually falling away from the rebar. He recommended that be addressed as well.
Yeah,
That was done by, Daniel's Construction, probably 25 years ago.
Yeah, he said that the rebar itself looked good. Which you can tell because you can see it. But he did say that it didn't look like it needed to be replaced, but concrete, needed to be recast around.
right.
And you can tell it's the whole side of the bridge, those pylons are quite off.
I know of two, the Cold River Bridges and
Daniels.
that Matt Lewis over in Springfield.
Yeah.
I would get a hold of both of those guys and have them come out and, look at it.
I wish I had Daniels look at it too.
Yeah, so you have three.
Yeah.
Is this a formal bid that they
Should we-
put together, just
Give
to,
us a price on it, or an estimate,
an estimate?
Yeah.
Okay,
and then we can put it out.
then
to
we
bid.
can put it in. the
Yeah, get an estimate and then figure out some budget.
Yeah.
Then,
Right,
Yeah.
phases or.
Well, that is one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about that Bridge first, before we talked about the culverts up on
Right.
Fisher Hill.
uh,
I have worked with Morgan, it seems like steady for the last 3 weeks on this. And Wyndham Regional promotes these grants to the towns, and they have no experience whatsoever on it. They're doing one in Wyndham, but they have no answers whatsoever, they don't know a thing about it. And we've called different places and tried to get some answers, and we have got some answers on it, but as near as I can figure, most of the grant is gonna go towards engineering and paying Wyndham Regional to manage it. The engineering cost was $158,000. You're gonna pay Wyndham Regional $30,000, so you've got $200,000 gone of the $280,000 grant. So I don't need a lot for construction. Now, we put aside $60,000 in this budget to go towards our share of that construction. Well, that culvert is probably gonna cost $600,000.
did the engineering company give a breakout of their bid showing how they get to 158,000 for the culvert?
The state of Vermont has 5 engineers. You pick one of the engineers, there's no one, two, three, you pick one.
Yeah.
And that's who you go by. And that engineer has probably did, I would think, dozens of these projects through this federal grant. So they know exactly what's they can get out of it, and it doesn't do much good to go to another one. You're not gonna get much of a different price on it. Now, I've let out to the engineers for bids on at least 15 culverts in town, and we've never paid over $10,000 for engineering.
Yeah, that sounds reasonable, 158 sounds like
But you get,
highway robbery.
but you get into the federal grant business and you're doing things like getting easements for off the landowners, and that culvert, both of them up there are all in the town right away. You don't need any easements, but they have to go through that. You've got to go through the Indian stepped on it years ago and different things like that, and it just gets, I think it's 31 different things, and we've probably got to go through about 25 of them. And it just raises the cost up so that I don't think we can afford it.
Yeah, you're
So-
paying a lot of attorneys and administrative fees.
But that's because of the type of grant that you
Yeah.
have to follow that. So you could actually do it with different budgeting maybe and have a more reasonable price.
Yeah. Now, that we also got the grant for the culvert before, above it,
Right.
too. And same thing, I mean, that one's gonna cost you $600-700
Can't afford the grant.
Now, there's the one in, Londonderry. And I did get a price out of them that they had got, that was $750,000. And that was basically about the same as, the one on Fisher Hill. So what I would recommend is we just don't go for those grants. It's gonna cost you $1,400. That's what Wyndham Regional has put into it. Let's forget about it, and we've got $60,000. Let's put it on Pettingill Bridge.
Can it be reallocated?
And then you, and make it right.
Or you
Just
have
the
to
current,
match,
and,
or
yeah.
They got-
What is the drawback to not doing the culverts up there on Fisher Hill? What's the potential?
Road flood,
Say it again?
road's gonna flood,
you-
but he's gonna do that anyway, so.
But that's a good thing.
Okay,
And FEMA will do,
okay.
Yeah, it is.
and we'll wait 2 years
Then
for
we
money.
can go through FEMA
Right.
and.
So this is
and
sort of,
get paid for
okay,
with
I
our
understand.
10% or whatever.
We hope.
This was,
Well, we can do preventative work in the meantime on Fisher Hill, making sure that it's not gonna cave in or.
Well, it's not gonna cave in, it's the band, it's not, culverts aren't big enough down through there.
is that over, that
Which one?
one,
The one down by Maze?
yeah,
That one, it's not big enough, and the one above it actually is got quite a bent inside of it from the last flood. A boulder went down through it and got stuck in it. But other, I mean, the water, it goes through both of them, and they ain't gonna make a sinkhole in the middle of the road right now. I mean, the bands are messed up on them, but.
The other thing is you put money aside each year in the capital budget, and after 5 or 6 years, you might have enough to do it with a local contractor at a $300,000 price.
I have to agree with Grant and stuff like that.
But that's my suggestion. I mean, it's just been having meeting after meeting with them, and you can't get no answers because they know nothing about them.
So we need a motion to not do any further investigation or accepting these grants, is that true?
The money that, if we don't get the grants, money we've already spent for the work they've done, that's just. We just pay it, right?
$1,400?
so this is at 14.20 for 44 cents?
Yeah.
The project management time so far, if we terminate it, that's
If we
what we
terminate, we'll have to pay it out of our own.
pay that. But if the town.
That's the kind of work they've done so far.
Okay.
Well, Morgan, you've done some work thinking about or looking into, so we can terminate this, if any other costs or,
It would just
Fees?
be, that $1,400 cost to one of them.
okay.
I hate to give up that kind of money, but you don't end up with any money for it.
Yeah, but it's gonna be a negative.
Way more.
Yeah, it makes sense to do it. And I don't think the
Wise.
town's in that good enough shape that they need to spend $600,000 on each one of them up there.
Okay. So you want a motion?
Yeah, it would be a motion to terminate this grant and then also to not accept the grant for the Fisher Hill Road culvert number 13.
You might as well do both of them.
I think that's kind of been the consensus, but we can rewrite it however.
Was the other culvert?
It was not included in the report that Wyndham Regional prepared, but, we got award notice Friday last week. But we're gonna run into the same issues. Engineering's probably still gonna be way out what we anticipate, so,
But there's no cost from Wyndham Regional on the other culvert.
no. That other culvert, there's been no work done on that, so, we simply just wouldn't sign the grant agreement for that one.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So we make a motion, I'll make a motion to terminate the V-Trans grant at this point. And the understanding that the costs related to the grant for the Wyndham Regional Project Management time of $1,420.44 be paid, and that will terminate our culvert number grant
Yes.
project. That's what it's-
Okay, the motion's on the floor, do I have a second?
Second,
Motion has been seconded. All in favor of the, motion as read by Morgan and commented by Anna?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the ayes have it, motion's passed. Thanks for all your work, John
Thanks for
and
that, John.
Morgan.
Do
Really
you
good.
wanna do the same on, is it number 13?
17.
There's Culvert number 10, which we just.
Just did.
did, and then
13, you said we
13,
haven't done any work, but you're not gonna accept the grant?
but do we wanna do that before they do any work and they're really costing for you?
They wouldn't do any work until we sign the grant?
Well, they have to come to us and we have to select a, engineer
Okay.
before anything would happen.
It would be the same process that we went through for this grant.
But I would, because if they do come to us, it then probably spend the other, another $1,400.
Just coming over
So
here.
do we need to, vote on this, or do we just let it sit there and
I
not
think
take
we ought
any
to
action?
vote on the other one too.
Okay. So likewise, make a motion to not accept the grant proposal and cease any movement forward on culvert number 13. I know I said culvert number 15.
Yeah.
Second,
Second.
Okay, motion's been made not to accept the, any kind of work or grant for culvert number 13. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, motion's been passed.
and then in the future, we'll talk about how we find that budget password.
But thank you, Morgan and John, on the work,
Yeah, thanks, John.
the last one.
Huge.
Thank you. Kobe, tell us about the roads. In the
Wet.
snow, in the mud.
We got more snow tonight. Looks
Really?
like they're saying dusting to 2 inches was the last I saw. I don't think we're gonna do anything probably with it, like just like we did this morning, nothing, I don't think it's really gonna stick to the dirt or the blacktop, but
Still warm.
other than that. My plan is Wednesday, is things look the way they're looking, we're gonna run double shifts for the grader. David is gonna run it from 6 AM to 11, Lane's gonna come into work at 11 AM and run it till 6 PM. As long as the things look the same, good, just as good tomorrow, then that would be the plan. And we're gonna try to get some roads home. 121, we're gonna finish. Then we're gonna move on to Eastman Road, and then Port Road will be the next one after that.
To do what, grading?
Grading,
Okay.
try to get rid of some of these potholes. Things are starting to dry out and not, and I will be in the York Rake from 6 to 2 on Wednesday. Trying to do all the small roads. And probably pulling some material into the road for the grader. We also got today, we got all the dirt work done on 121 for the paving project. You know, all the guardrails berms, the water can run out where the guardrails. And tomorrow it's gonna be wet, so we're gonna go finish the tree project on Hayward Brook. Now that the road's dry enough to track the excavator on again, so. We're gonna wrap that up tomorrow.
What kind of tree work again? So
Just clearing the sides of the road. Then we're gonna probably pull a couple of stumps and prep for the ditching this year. Still a little wet through the ditching, so. We'll just get the stumps pulled and then let the ditches dry and we should be ready to start ditching when we. And probably in a month or two.
I have a question on the tree work, that the linemen are doing, you know, for the lines. There's some big stumps. Are they gonna take those stumps out or are you gonna hit
I
them
don't
with
think
the
they're gonna,
plows?
I don't, no, we didn't hit them when they were trees, so I don't think, it should be fine. I mean, we could cut them lower, but like that pine tree down, you're talking about the pine tree down by the farm,
Mhm,
I think so big, I don't dare try to pull it out, 'cause it's probably half under the road.
mhm.
So,
I wonder why they left them so high, I mean, they're good.
Yeah, it's a big stone, it's got, you have
24
a big
inches,
chainsaw, cut
36
that far
inches.
down, so.
Are they gonna pick up all the rest of the trees that they?
Yeah, Morgan sent them an email asking them to please get everything out of the ditches and out of the right of way. Cause I shouldn't have to go pick up after
No.
them, so.
I still think they could
Yeah,
cut down.
they've
those
already been
stumps.
asked once, so it's on file, so if they don't do it, then I guess we'll go another step from there, but.
And speaking of the trees, you mentioned this way back, the
Huh?
trees between Jamie's place and the little park.
Yeah.
You're gonna clean that stuff up, what
We're
happened with that?
well, then, I don't know.
It's pretty messy.
Well, I know, my plate is really, really full right now, so, and that's like a winter project. Yeah, cause really, can't really track around out in there.
Well, this was months ago that you mentioned that, so you're gonna do something, and it didn't look
Well,
like
I've
anything
been
got
busy.
done.
Well, it never was really a thing that, and it's not really necessary, to be honest. The main reason why I mentioned it to you is because there's cellar holes open, you gotta park down there, and if some kid was gonna fall in the cellar hole.
There's a cellar hole where all those trees are?
Uh-huh,
How come that wasn't taken care of during the flood?
I don't know, I wasn't here during flood.
During the flood.
Wasn't the
No,
Irene?
No, that's two, that one's gone,
Huh?
that one's gone, there's another one, the stone one,
Oh, I didn't know there's a cellar hole.
yeah, but. I mean, I don't really know if you can fill those in anyway, I don't think you're supposed to, are you? But. No, all I plan on really doing is just pulling the stuff out that's dead, laying on the ground.
Is that
It's
town property or is it
Yeah,
Jamie's
it's just
property?
our mold, yeah, it's our property, but it's just in our mold, the stuff in our mold pad is all I wanna clean up.
Well,
But,
it does look pretty unsightly, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
but I can probably have a guy go down, two guys go down and clean up most of it, but.
Any other questions for Colby on the road?
Do we have anything lined up for street sweeping yet?
Yeah,
It's,
we got a date, don't we?
Yeah, I don't have it off the top of my head, but it's potentially next week, I think. It's in my email. They are
It is in the email.
confirmed for Wednesday. I'm pretty sure it's next week.
Yeah.
And you have to make sure they do the Cambridgeport Bridge.
Yeah.
I
They
did,
missed it last
I
time.
did send them a pretty lengthy email and asked for all of the town bridges, and I specifically mentioned. the
I have to go,
one.
I have to meet with him when he gets here,
Okay,
I don't know if you want to ask them just to meet us at the town garage at 6. The last year they sent a new guy and he didn't listen very well. The old guy that normally does it, he knows what to do already, so he just did it, but. Yeah, this guy didn't quite follow directions very well.
Yeah, actually, one of the recommendations on the technical bridge was to sweep it, but it's
Yeah.
gonna be full on one
Normally
side.
we have to sweep every bridge, even on dirt roads, have to sweep all of them.
But
Get
they
them all
won't be
cleaned
able
up.
to do that one side of it.
Yeah, so we're, I'll just have to take, if he meets me at the shop, I can just take him for a ride and pick up and point out everything this year, hopefully the old guy comes back.
But that doesn't go in the river when they sweep it.
No, it goes in the truck. Sweeping's fine, it's the washing the stuff into the river. But,
Okay. Anything else for Colby?
I'll just mention they are signed up to do a flagging training
Oh, yeah.
next Monday. Wade from VLCT is actually coming to the town garage and they're gonna do it in person. So I did reach out to a few neighboring towns today to see if they have any members on their crews that need it. Haven't heard back from them yet, but the offer is there, so we'll see if we can get them.
There's no cost, right?
No cost to the town.
Okay. Well, that's good, he's doing it, I think that's great.
Not so much for Colby, but before you move on highways, did we need to make a motion on contacting 3 bridge companies? I know you said it, but do we need to vote on
Can make a motion.
it?
Do you want Colby?
We wanna do it, right? No,
Yeah.
I think, so you guys want to take action
on what?
Dave, I mean, John,
contacting 3 bridge companies for
Three
investment
bridge.
and placing the debt. If we need a vote on them.
Morgan, do you think we do?
I always err on the side of caution and say, I would prefer a motion rather than not.
Yeah.
Any promotion that, John, you're gonna take the lead on? Contact three bridge companies, for an estimate on replacing the technical bridge deck.
Second,
John, you okay with that? Oh. You're just like staring at us, so, okay.
I'll do it with you if you want. I don't care.
All right, the highway committee, will contact at least 3 bridge companies to look at Pettingill Bridge for estimates on repairs. Do I have a motion?
I second.
Oh, you second it? Motion's on the floor. How many will vote for aye?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Do you need a scope of work?
I think I have it in the, what is the email the guy sent?
Yeah, it was
Yeah, I could probably, you gotta just use that one.
that last paragraph.
Yeah.
So,
The other thing is, can we make a, figure out a date for you guys to meet with Danielle about the walkway?
like half tomorrow, after
Well,
tomorrow,
okay. You got any day, it doesn't work for you?
I do almost any day if it's early in the morning.
Okay, you guys wanna do, I don't know, Thursday at 6? That work?
Thursday at 6?
Yeah, in the morning. Yeah, we're at the town garage, we can just discuss it and he can tell you what he wants to do. Or what he thinks should be done. And then,
Should you meet here to look at it as you talk about it?
yeah, I guess we can meet here and look at it. Then I get that out of my hair. Perfect.
Any other comments about that? Anything else for Colby?
Colby, can I have?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Hill Road had that giant washout.
Yeah.
There's so much material still inside the bridge.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound like the street sweepers would go through the bridge, it's on dirt road, so.
Well, no, they can go, they will do that.
Really,
Yeah, they're-
lock out from underneath it too.
Yeah, they should be able to get in there for the most part. I have to clean some of this back a little bit first before they get here, I wish I could do the whole bridges.
That'd be awesome.
But, yeah, no, that doesn't even get done, yeah. Yeah, we gotta figure out something, so I'll stop doing that, we gotta do like full replacements on top of the hill, cause
So too.
Yeah. I'm tired of seeing it. No, it's alright.
Did they vote on the motion for the 3 estimates?
Yeah,
Yes. They voted.
we eyed.
We're all set.
I wrote it down, so I hope I did.
No, we did.
Very good.
Kim, professional audit request of interest.
Yeah, this is the time of the year that we're hoping to send a letter that we can ask them for Sullivan Powers, because they're okay with still using the same firm that we've probably used for the last 10-12 years. Also this year, and usually what we do is, we just send a letter of request of interest. And then they come back with, yes, we'd be happy, give us a price, but this year we're gonna actually need it. For not only a regular audit, but a single audit. Which is an additional charge, and they've been running about 18 to 19,000 just for a regular audit, they quoted us approximately 7,000 for a single audit.
Can you explain the difference? A single line?
Because we're receiving more than 730,000 from any federal grant combination, grant monies, any monies from the vet, and with the flood, we get that.
Okay.
So just a motion to be able to let Morgan send that letter. Online.
Are those figures in the budget, the 17, 19, and 7?
Yeah, this, yeah,
Yeah.
the upcoming one, yes.
Okay, great.
Okay, need a motion to, request, Sullivan Powers to do additional audit, a single audit.
Second.
All those in favor? Any opposed? Okay, motion's carried. Liquor licensing,
On a yearly basis, we have to do, the town used to, this is the second year we haven't had to. Each organization that has a license to sell liquor or serve liquor or outside consumption used to have a permit. You guys would sign off. Everything now is done computerized. So what I need from the board is to have it reflected in the minutes that you're approving their first, second, third class outside consumption and their tobacco license. And then that allows me to go back into the system tomorrow, tell them that you guys approved it, and then they move forward with their payments.
Okay.
So for right now, we have, and we only usually have 2 businesses now. MKT has an outside consumption permit. MKT has a first class. MKT has a tobacco. And MKT has a second class. So if we can get the approval from the board reflected in the minutes to pass these 4. And I've had Morgan already do the outside consumption, so she's got a list of them already
okay,
on MKT.
So make a motion to accept the, liquor license applications from the MKT, the license applications from the MKT.
okay. Do I have a second? All those in favor of MKT's, liquor and tobacco licenses? Vote. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. For the MKT licenses for alcohol and tobacco.
So then we move on to the Old Tavern, and the Old Tavern has a first class for the hotel rate license. The Old Tavern has a third class. The Old Tavern has a third class for their restaurant and bar license. We have a first class for their restaurant bar. And then they have outside consumption because they use the courtyard. So they've got 5 licensed to be approved by the board.
It also include the ice bar in January.
Yes.
You know, that they,
Was that another-
that's an outside catering request, so when the time comes,
Oh, they
all
do?
of those who are outside there have to send them to me.
Okay.
And that's when you gave me permission to do outside things. The organization.
Hey, need a motion on the floor for the Old Tavern for first class, third class. Licenses and first class for outside bar. All those in, I need a motion.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the ayes have it, motion's passed. Walker Bridge bond,
Okay, so I have been working on the whole bond situation. And I passed to you guys 2 charts, and these charts are from November, when we first started the process and me gathering some information. I did not ask Ken from the bond bank to give us another schedule. I figured this gives a pretty good idea, and I'm not looking for an answer today, but in 2 weeks, if I could. We need to know how much do we want to bond for? And we're getting down to the deadline that I need to apply by May 15th. And the way it's looking right now, again, Gary from V-Trans sent us the last chart. We're still on schedule for $942,302.19. Of that, we have already paid. And we have $275,271.14 that was already reserved. So the total project is actually costing the town after, without saving any more money, is $667,031.05. Providing when they start in the fall or in the spring, it's not gonna be any more extra charges. So my question is, how much do we want to bond? We need to pay ourselves back $667,000. When I did this in November, I took $675,000 just as a ballpark figure to give to Ken to give us a schedule of what we'd be looking at. I think $675 is cutting it close, because we're at $667. I could go to $700,000 and ask him. I mean, right now, interest rates, when I talked to him 2 weeks ago, are anywhere between 3% and 4%. So he can't tell me what they are right now, probably won't be able to tell me when we do apply. Because we apply in May, they don't make their decision to the 1st of August, and it's towards the middle to the end of August before we get our disbursement.
So you're thinking 700,000,
Pardon?
700,000?
Yeah, there would be the 700. So my question is, to take a look at this, look it over. The first sheet, of course, one is 20 years, one is 15 years. And then the second page of each one of these categories is if we were to skip the first payment. So we could go one complete year without moving the principal payment. But the interest would be a bump up a little bit higher. If we were to go on to schedule, as soon as we signed up for it, pay the first year, interest rates usually a little lower. Keep in mind that we did budget 55,000 for our first payment in this fiscal year that we're approaching in July, so it's whether or not you want to cut it close at 675, if you want to go to 700 when I make my application.
I have a question. Earlier, John had made the comment that first of all, the work is not complete, so obviously we're dealing with a loading number. But John had made the comment that he was concerned coming down Fisher Hill Road, looking backwards, he couldn't see clearly, and worried about that stop sign, et cetera, et cetera. Are those kinds of concerns, have they been addressed, or are we gonna, so they're gonna suddenly go, well, we need to raise this and do that, and therefore it's gonna add more money?
Well, I think they came up with suggestions, because I asked Morgan the same thing. They came up with some suggestions, but no clear cut answer whether they could do it. And of course, there's a price tag to any of the changes. So whether or not we can get any better answer on that price tag before 2 weeks, that would be John and
What do you think?
Morgan's.
Everything I talked about with the state guys the other day when we were at the bridge was pretty much us doing the work. Pretty much was just moving the stop sign.
Move
We
it
had
back
to do a little
up.
bit, or fill the corner in with some gravel, but he didn't want us to pave it because there's enough cars over there driving on it, so.
Say that again, he didn't wanna pay the
We could fill
because,
the corner in a little bit with gravel. Then put delineators up so we don't go any further than that, but just trucks can use it a little bit more. But he doesn't want us to pave it because he's worried cars will use it as a part of the road. Then they'll just blow through the stop sign even more, so. I didn't really get much of an answer, so.
What about the visibility coming off of Fisher Hill, wanting to take a left?
that's what I think we're doing.
Depends on which drive.
In both cases, whether you're
Have them
going,
speak out.
Yeah,
and then go,
We never got any real good
it's,
answer.
the
from them.
answer is, we don't know.
The answer really that we got was that they made the project not worse than what it was before, they made it about the same. They didn't make it any better. But as far as not being able to see, there's not much you can do about that, is because that's the height of the guardrails. And that's the state code, so you,
Okay,
and their recommendation was that, would you kind of sneak out into the road coverage, but as far as off Fisher Hill, the only fix we're gonna get is him making that a little bit wider, I'm sure.
and moving the stop signs,
I don't think you're really necessarily to move the sign a whole lot, I think just depending on where we have them put the stop bar.
it's the, what's it called?
Stop bar,
Oh, that.
yeah, I think if we could move stop bar up 10 feet, I mean, that would be a lot better, but,
so they didn't want to put a yield sign there.
no, the state wants to go away from all, they don't want yield signs in at all anymore.
Oh,
apparently we can't figure them out, so.
Like going down King Store.
I have no problem figuring it out, I don't know what, there is nothing to figure out down there, it's pretty simple.
There. And they wait, we play this game, who's gonna go? And I say, go.
I don't, I don't.
After you. Oh, wow.
So,
So I don't think the cost is gonna be any different.
that's the bottom line, I guess, okay?
And anything that we do borrow above and beyond that we use, it just becomes ours, we can put it on a money market account, it's
Okay,
pretty much ours.
gotcha.
But something to think over and maybe have a number for me next meeting, if we could.
Right now, I don't have a problem with 700,000, given the fact that you're not gonna know till August, and who knows what the interest rates are gonna go up or down. We want it to go down, but we can think about it.
It would be a matter of how many years do you want to fill out, do you want to do 15 or do you want to do 20?
How many more years have we got left on the town garage?
I think we figured, is it 5?
5?
I think it's about 5 more years on the town garage.
What's the payment on the town garage?
$53,333 in principal, and right now we're probably at 7,000 in interest. Because every year, every time we pay the interest, the interest is coming down, but we're at 53,333 once a year for principal.
So the board can think about this and get back on your next meeting and make a decision.
And if you have any questions on the bonding process or anything at all to do with bonding, just let me know and I'll get in touch with either Eli, who's our counselor, or I'll get in touch with Ken, who's at the bond bank, and he pretty much answers all of my questions. It's a 12-step process for the application. I still have some answers to that I need to get from the listers to complete the rest of it also.
So we have the 45,000 for the first year.
55 is what we put in the budget as of July 1st. But we didn't take in, when we did the principal for the 55, we didn't think of like the interest. That's the only thing, so there's a possibility of, depending on what we go out for, when the interest comes to, we could be short, maybe, what did we say, 3,000 or, yeah, short like 3,000.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, thanks, Kim, for all the work with this.
And the next thing I have is, just to let you all know that, dog license were due by April 1st. So the computer switched over at April 2nd, we have all late fees of $11 on all dogs. So today, Michelle printed up all late fee notices and they were mailed out to everybody who was a previous dog owner who still needs to register but has not yet. And they've got $11 each tacked on, and we sent out 26 of them. 26 people have not come into that we know of, and then the process starts. If we know of dogs that are not licensed, you really need to come forward, tell me about it. I then need to send them a letter. If they don't respond to my letter, then I send Ashley out to them. I am going to do this. Okay. Good to know.
Thanks, Kim. Committee report, cemetery, I think.
I don't think so. Next time, when it's all vote.
Parks Committee,
So, I don't have a report this time, but I think we will next time. I did meet with village park volunteers. Anna was on that day, so she missed that meeting, and then she has some time on vacation, so we haven't really connected. So I think I need to go over the the meeting that I had with them with Anna, and then report out. They did have quite a few interesting items that they were asking about and were recommending. Everything from some training, potential training for the highway department. And the fire department on, logging techniques, for dealing with hazardous trees in the future. Which, currently there's been no cost grants, and I think the highway department's been through that training previously, but maybe a refresher. The emerald ash borer and the impact on the village parks and maybe response in the future. So quite a few things. So I will get with Anna, formalize that a little bit more and have a report out for the next meeting.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you.
And I guess I would note that they've done a nice job in the park, so if you walk the trails up there, in the village park, it's, it's, the trails are a lot clearer, and they've done little structures. It's nice to see the investment in time and effort.
Great. Okay, highway, I think we kind of raced through that today. I don't have anything in personnel. Do you have anything, Steve?
Nope.
July 2023 flood update.
I can report that the driller company has finally gone out to Eastman Road. That felt like a big milestone that we accomplished. It had been postponed, I feel like 10 times. So we don't have a report back from them, but hoping that we get that soon. And from that, we'll work with the engineers to come up with some
The 20
solutions.
to 15 feet was the variable difference in the ledge.
What's that?
20 feet and 15 feet was kind of the fluctuation of the ledge, I believe it was, he said.
You can know.
Well, I went down there having them talk to him a little bit, but the first hole they drilled was 20 feet, I believe it was, so they hit ledge. I have to look back. Didn't he send us an email?
I haven't gotten anything
He
yet.
might have sent it to just me out the letter.
Okay.
But yeah, I believe it was 20 to 15 feet was the difference all the way down through there, Or not 20. The hit ledge all the way down through there, it's somewhere in between 15 and 20 feet.
Before they hit it was 15.
Yeah, at least a minimum 15 feet before they hit it, so.
That's good or bad?
I don't, I'm not an engineer, so I don't really know, to be honest. I would say it's probably good, something they can tie into, so.
So are they gonna be building this wall?
From that report, we have to work with the engineers to come up with.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
that's still decided.
If it's that deep, it's gonna be a higher wall, a deeper wall.
Well, that's what I meant when I said, is it good or bad?
You know, I know.
Yeah.
No, when we get the report.
I'll look at my email tonight.
Okay.
So see if it's there, I'll send it to you.
Probably won't be for it.
I don't know, we'll find out, I guess.
That's all I have on that.
Thanks, Ron. And Colby. Short-term rental ordinance update. And
I'll take that. Since the last presentation discussion, at the CLT training on the 22nd, I asked about this whole process, about the, from Vermont, I asked about other towns' experiences. And right now, there is actually a case in front of this state Supreme Court, I guess, court case about Burlington. And there is also coming up some, roundtable meetings about this. I have not, because of that, they said, hang on for a minute to see what comes out of the resolution, the case that's in front of the court right now. I don't know the details of that. And also wait for further this roundtable opportunity to talk with the DCLT about it because of obviously, enforcement issues and things like that. So right now, we're in a little bit of a holding pattern, which I think is wise as opposed to spinning our wheels. And moving forward when we should, I would argue that, or suggest that we're pretty ahead of the game, with Burlington, which is obviously a huge area, having lots and lots of, STRs, having some challenges and things like that with their local ordinance. So anyway, that is where we stand right now. Questions?
Questions?
I'll just say thank you for going and asking those questions. I think that's incredibly helpful.
Yeah, I think, well, I was surprised that it's so front of mind on so many towns. And it is, they are quick with all their, you know, understanding what's going on in other towns and challenges towns are having, and whether or not these are things towns need to have or should have, or how they should look. So I think we're gonna learn a lot, by taking a pause and learning something. So that's the recommendation, or what's going on now.
Do they have a number of the towns that have ordinances in place?
Not a, I mean,
No, I'm just wondering how many.
there are some, I mean, it's still extremely new. I mean, even if our largest city is running into challenges, yeah, I think Stowe's has been adopted and then not adopted, and I mean, all sorts of things are happening, so I don't have any idea of the numbers yet.
Well, thanks, Anna, for that. Local emergency management plan 2025. We're doing some updating, right?
So this is our management plan that is revised every year on a yearly basis. Essentially, it's full of contact information, details about emergency management centers, facilities that we can go to, just a lot of contacts and shelters, outside contacts that we use within the town. So essentially this has to be updated yearly. I sent a draft copy to all of the local emergency management planners, the select board, the planning commission. I got a little bit of feedback, and with that I updated what we currently have now. This is a working document, so the select board essentially adopts it yearly, and throughout the year we can amend it as we need to. I guess that's a very high level broad summary of it, but I can answer questions if there are any.
Do we need to make a motion to approve the updated version?
That would be the guidance, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So there's a motion on the floor to accept the local emergency plan for 2025 is updated, which we do yearly.
So moved?
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor for this motion? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. And you're gonna give a copy to everybody on that list.
for sure, yeah. The elementary school is listed, Grafton cares, there's a whole bunch of local committees.
Okay.
Yeah, so each one of them will get a copy when it's finalized.
Thanks for doing that.
Yeah.
Appointments for local offices, update, I think you have a couple.
Yeah, so last meeting, the majority of them were filled. At that point, we had an opening on the development review board. So I reached out to the current alternates, which included Ron Paulette and Joe Polio. Joe Polio expressed interest in becoming a board member, so he would like to be on the development review board. And Joe Neal offered to serve in the alternate position, filling Joe's term. As long as you're still fine with that, great. The only other update was I did call Cynthia to see if she'd be interested in the inspector of lumber, and she laughed at me, so. Didn't feel like it was necessary. It isn't, it's not required by the town to have it, and as long long as I've known, it's been empty. I know Kim doesn't remember it ever being held
Never
by
been used anyways, but.
So, there's the empty. Yeah. We can kind of just eliminate it, entirely, but anyway, so the update would be to, appoint Joe Polio as a member on the Development Review Board and Joe Neal as an alternate.
Make a motion to accept those appointments for the local offices, by making a motion.
I'll second it. All those in favor of the motion, appointing Joe and, Neil to the, this is the board, right? Local
DRB.
ARB, yeah. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you. Okay. Grafton Elementary School Memorandum of Understanding.
So in 2023, the select board approved the memo of understanding with the elementary school. It essentially is allowing the school to use the town hall building in case of an emergency. So if they have to relocate from the school building, they would come here as an option. I know that they do have agreements like this, I believe with the church and the inn as well.
They used to have it at the end.
Okay, so maybe, I know for sure the church, obviously, but not sure about the inn at this point. So if approved, it would, there's a 1 year or a 2 year option. Obviously, 2 years ago, we selected the 2 year option, and then Kathy would sign it as the board chair.
Okay, all those in favor of signing?
I need a motion.
Motion to, choose the 2-year option for approval with the Grafton Elementary School Memorandum of Understanding. Perfect.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Other business. I just have a question on, you sent out letters for the septic, how did that
Yeah,
work out?
it's been effective. 2 of the 4 people have pumped their septics and given proof of receipt. The 3rd one has received the letter, and the 4th one, as of earlier today, they haven't signed off that they received the certified mail. So, went well. Now we just wait.
Okay, thanks. Public comment. Anybody on the screen? Okay, next regular meeting, April 21st, at 6 p.m. Thanks, everybody.
I'm to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Sorry.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Recording stopped.
Down to the